And when your name is put out, and Satseno, this is what it means. So there's a whole lot of meaning to every little thing, I guess I'll say, that we do, even to the giving of our names. And that name is yours until you leave this earth. And when your body remains are placed in the earth, then that name is taken by the clan and it is put away and kept. And for a whole year, no one will use that name. But after the passing of all the seasons, we have it at midwinter time, special ceremony, which tells us now we have come to closure and we're opening up a new season. After that year, then that clan family can use that name again. So every little bit of our tradition is very important. And so much of it has, historical meaning around the lake of Onondaga. So much of it has historical meaning in the creek of Onondaga. And even in my own time. And to say nothing of the times, way, way, way before us. So to try to educate people about our ways and our thinking, I think is very good. And it should be that everyone who hears these messages, who learns these things, should pass it on to those people who are very apprehensive, full of anxiety about what might be happening to this part of the earth. I could go on and on for hours.
Keep going, come on.
But I probably used up more than because every little item has so much story behind it and so much history behind it. It's hard to know, it's hard to isolate anything from everything from each other. We're always connected, we're all family, and we always will be unless we bring about the cutoff. And so when we talk about the Thanksgiving address again, with our mother, the earth, our grandmother, the moon, our brothers, the four-leggeds, and the winged ones, our grandfathers, the thunderers, we're all connected. We're all spiritually connected. And but we have to strive, and it's a big, difficult job in these times, to pass that on to our youth, or even the not so young people who are just coming back to their traditional ways. There's so much meaning to life, so much more meaning to life than people understand. I think I better stop.
Okay. Well, I'll have to thank Audrey again for another history lesson myself here. Sure. Just a little bit, yeah. Again, this is our history books. This is our History 101 right here. This is our encyclopedias that we learn from as a young leader, from our elders, their concerns, their experiences their teachings that have been taught to them, and they passed on to us to guide us, to give us kind of the right thinking as to making good decisions. So, and this is, I could sit here a lot longer, listen to her, no problem. But hearing more, you know, every time I hear Audrey speak, I learn something about myself and about my people, about Audrey, about a little bit about everything, and how we're connected, what our responsibilities are, and that's what it's about. That's what it's about as people, as different peoples, all on this land. It's getting along, and making sure there is a future for all of our children, and all of the things that have been given to us, so all those things can continue, and our people can live in a peaceful and healthy way. And I think that's what our goal here is try to educate people, educate each other, about ourselves, and we're all in this together. There's no, you know, that the bad air doesn't stop at any boundary. We all breathe it. The bad waters, we all have to drink it. All have to. If it's not pure, then we'll all suffer. So it's not any one people's responsibility. It's everybody's. And I think if anything that if we can use this, is to educate and to make people think more of what's important, and what our own responsibility is to ourselves and to each other. And if we can educate a few people and maybe start making them think a little bit different, or a lot different, whatever your contribution is to ensure a future for us, then then it's worth it. And we've achieved something by talking, by listening, and exchanging thoughts and ideas.
As Audrey said so eloquently, she could talk for many, many more hours, and I think many of us could listen for many more hours. But we did want to have some opportunity for people to ask some questions, since it's the topic of tonight's discussion, the title was "The Nation in Our Midst, Onondaga History, Culture, and Spirituality," covers a very broad area. So there's microphones out here on either side, so people can go ahead and come to the microphone if you'd like to ask a question. We ask people to be relatively brief because there's many folks here, and people are primarily here to hear Audrey and Sid, not one another. But I do want to say one brief thing about the title, "The Nation in Our Midst." We spent a lot of time talking about the titles of these programs, and we're very conscious of wanting to acknowledge that the Onondaga Nation is indeed a nation. It's a nation in our midst in that it's surrounded by the United States, but that doesn't make it any less of its own independent, autonomous nation, in the same spirit that Audrey spoke of with the Turo Wampum. So I want to please invite folks with questions. If there's folks in the balcony, sorry, we don't have any mics up there, so you'll have to come down.
I'm Peter Swords. The mic's not on.
Can hear you.
I wanted to thank you for not only giving us the story that you gave us, but also there was a bit of very helpful sensitivity in one of the things you said, Audrey. You made reference to that little bit of fear that some of the other people have about the Onondaga Nation. And I want to appreciate that you have that sensitivity, that understanding, even of what is wrong in our misconceptions about your culture. And what I would like to get at is, maybe you could tell a little bit about how the Onondaga people have focused on children and on health in the way you raise up people. And that would maybe help us to heal our own fears as we raise up our children, because maybe we could do a little bit better job. I think I've heard a little bit before from Oren Lyons and some other leaders a little bit about how you have raised up children and how you focus on children and health. And maybe we could hear a little bit about that.
Well, as you know, our children go to school with the nearby villages, and some come all the way into the city to school, so that they're sort of mixed in all the time in their childhood lives with all kinds of people. And in keeping our people within our own community healthy, we have most of the homes have their own medicines that they use within their family for sicknesses and for keeping well. And it's not like, and they share this. The new mothers especially are more conscious of trying to have their babies and their little ones now be treated, if they are sick, with natural medicines. This has coming back, and of course with the foods it's very hard. We don't have many families who don't have a garden, a small garden, so that they would have access to, fruits and vegetables that come from the land and not from a can in a grocery store that was packed halfway across the country. This we have to keep talking and talking and talking, because our young people are mixed up in a world where those kinds of things are not important. So it's just, again, as I mentioned before, that repetition. Young people have a way of not really wanting to listen. Oh, we heard that before, oh, we got to hear that again. But yes, many of the things we have to teach have to be repetitious. And the food, I think the young people many of the young people, not all, are picking up themselves the difference between fresh food and good food. It's happening more than a lot of people realize. That young people themselves, we hear a lot about junk food and stuff, and it is horrendous the way it's being used, but we don't hear much about the fact that the young people themselves are beginning to listen and to understand the consequences of watching their diets and looking for fresh foods. We have our own traditional foods that we use pretty much almost entirely for ceremonies. And everybody knows how to fix that, just about. People teach their children how to fix the ceremonial foods from an early age. But the diet is something that I think all peoples are working on, have to work on. I don't know if this answers your question very much.
Did you want to respond to that at all, Sid, as well? Or?
No, that's-
No? Okay. Go ahead.
I would like to offer some good news to the people here. I'd like to thank Sid and Audrey for coming in their busy community affairs and spending some time to speak to us about this important issue. But what I have to say is that I just returned from a long and difficult trip to India, where I was invited to speak at the World Elders Councils of Ancient Traditions and Cultures. I had been asked by the Hindus to give a presentation called Quest for the Roots of Peace, Close Encounters with the Earth Mother, in which I explained how Onondaga Lake is one of the most sacred sites in North America. And the people there were very grateful to have this information presented to them, and were very touched by the message that is contained in the story of what happened here many centuries ago. And they were very interested in having additional contact in the future with the indigenous people of this land and bringing them into a dialogue about where we're headed on this earth and how we can work together in partnership to create a future for our grandchildren. And at the inaugural event of this council, I was introduced to a man who was called the chief of the forest tribes of India. And I expressed my concern to meet and talk to this man at length because of my own involvement with the eastern woodland tribes of America. And so my expenses were paid to go to Southwest India after the council and to attend the gathering of the forest tribes of India. It's a gathering that involves about 600,000 people over the course of 3 days. And I participated in the spiritual activities that were happening there. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, I was invited up on the stage and introduced, and then at the end of the ceremonies, I was sitting down in a chair to put on my shoes, and I fell over backwards and fell off the stage and broke my right wrist. It seemed kind of a misfortune at the time, but trying to look on the good side of things, the better part of that was that I was able to have a personal visit from the chief of the forest tribes. And I was able to sit for an hour and talk to him about what is happening here in central New York with the indigenous people, and to talk about the situation of Onondaga Nation and their land rights initiative, and the fact that we are at this crucial moment in history when the indigenous people are asserting their rights as title holders to their homelands. And he was very deeply moved by this message and is very concerned and very interested to have more communication about this. And there are many, many people around the world, I'm sure, who like these elders and like this leader of the indigenous forest tribes of India who would like to know what is happening here. And I think that's part of our responsibility, is to participate in getting this news out to the world so that everyone can understand this important situation. Thank you.
Did you want to ask for any response from Audrey Sidman? Okay. Okay. Any?
Did he ask?
Not really. No. Okay. Other questions people have? Something you'd like to hear more about from Audrey or Sid? We'll take one or two more questions, and then we're going to close up, and we'll have more time for informal discussion during the reception.
Audrey, you're a very peaceful woman, and you exude such great peace. My question,
Can't speak.
I'm from up north at the Mohawk Reservation. I live near there. And they did a study of the women, the Native American women on the Mohawk side and the St. Regis Canadian side of the they were breastfeeding their children, and they discovered a lot of toxins in the breast milk to their children from the water from the Alcoa plant from the St. Lawrence River and Reynolds Metal. So I was wondering if you do any studies of the water, in your area, that if it has any harmful effects on the babies. Have you done any of those kind of studies in order to help your cause?
I can't understand you too well, but there are studies going on about the water. There have been studies about the water, not particularly to that issue of the mother's breast milk, but
The harmful effects that it's doing to the children. So if there's anybody getting involved to stop the process. Nothing, okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll take one more, and then I'll do a little wrap-up details, and then we'll go out to join the reception. So please, Ken.
My name is Ken Howland, and excuse me, I'm a student of history, and I'm aware of the fact that your people and also indigenous people of all of our backgrounds were in existence for thousands of years, your people in this area, and there's been more environmental damage in the last 50 years, or perhaps century, than there was in the previous 5,000 years. And I wonder if you have any comment about how to approach the future with respect to the environment and the pollution, which the woman before me just addressed. I think that was the essence of her question. To get back to more pure agriculture and so on and so forth.
well, I think the nuclear age, the making of all the nuclear energies have not been conducive to keeping the land or keeping any of the creation. And, you know, it just was, they went into it rather irresponsibly, and they're still using it irresponsible manner. And many people are suffering from it. As you say, the lands, and there are some lands that cannot be used again, for we don't know how long. The thing is, we have been told that the land can heal itself if we would stop, if mankind would stop his attack of pollution.
Yeah, just a little bit on that. After we filed our land rights and start getting into some of the discussion of the cleanup of Onondaga Lake and what's been done to the lake over the last 100 years of dumping waste into the lake and its condition now. We've also other people from out of the area of our land rights claim area have come to us looking for their problems in their communities, way up in Watertown down to Binghamton areas that they're concerned about, and asking us how we can help, because they've been trying to stop the pollution for whatever it is, the industries or of the lakes and the waterways and the lands, and they're looking for ways to get some things done to clean up their parts of the area where they live. So, and I think, and they've gone to the government, and you know, and the government can't do that. They don't. There's so much pollution there that, you know, well, who's responsible for this and who's responsible for that? It's companies. And I think we do have to make people more aware of all the damage that's done, you know, just in this small strip of area that we're concerned about. But also all the people in these areas have their concerns too. And I think we may look to the government that's trying to solve these. I think we have to as people of this area, have to take on some responsibility too, and join and be heard, and not to be brushed off by the government and saying, oh, we don't have enough money, or we don't have this program or something. But we as people have to, again, start thinking differently about what we're doing and how we do things. And it's up to us. It's up to us, and it's up to you for your concern for your children, your grandchildren, and their grandchildren. And that seems to be the that should be your main concern, not just yourself at this time, but what are you leaving for them, and how are they going to solve the things that we've not been able to resolve or clean up or change.
On behalf of the organizers, please join me in giving a warm appreciation for Audrey and Sid.
Thank you, everybody.
Just a couple of closing notes. One is the program, which hopefully you all received on your way in, has a full schedule on the back of it. Please take note of it. Encourage friends, coworkers, folks you worship with, go to school with, to join us for future programs. The next program, just next Tuesday, is entitled Visionary Women, the Haudenosaunee and the U.S. Women's Rights Movement, 7 o'clock, March 7th. And I think the role modeling of a leader of a formal leader like Sid, listening so attentively, deferring to a woman elder in the community, is something it's hard to imagine happening in our community. So that tells us a little bit about what we have to learn from that program. There's also a variety of background information as well as flyers for the next event and posters for the whole series at the table for neighbors of the Onondaga Nation outside. And something that I'd like to ask your help with is that we realized in the last few weeks that we particularly want to attract teachers to come to these programs. The folks who are teaching our children about the Haudenosaunee really need to hear this information because much of what is taught in our schools gives the impression that this is ancient history, that there are not neighbors living just south of Syracuse at the Onondaga Nation who not only are maintaining their own community and culture, but also trying to work with the broader community to improve life for all of us in the years and generations to come. So please contact any teachers you know and pass on this information. So we look forward to seeing you at future programs and hope you'll join us for some refreshments outside. Thanks very much.